Good morning. Okay, hello. Welcome to day 6. I did get more than 6.5 hours of sleep last night. I think I got 7.5. We will talk about what happened in the middle of the night in just a second. Django wants to sit with me. I have 30 minutes before I have to be at work, and I need to make my lunch and do something with my hair. However, my DNA results are here, and I cannot wait for us to see. Okay, I have 5 regions. 70% is England and Northwestern Europe. 70%. That is huge.
Why?
And then 15% is Sweden and Denmark, 8% Ireland, 5% Scotland, and 2% Wales. What is so funny about this is my husband and I have the exact 4 of our 5 are the same, except you have no Ireland, you have German, and I have Irish. Otherwise, we have the same ones. Now it's different distributions, but I know 8% Irish. Maybe that's why I loved Ireland so much when I went there. It was calling to me. Okay, well, that's it. I don't know why I'm so excited about it, because literally it's exactly what I knew already. It's asking me, do I want to compare mine with my mother's? And if I do this, I can break it down by parent, because my mother and my father, we've both done their DNA as well. So I can do all of that if I want to. This is also where my early ancestors came to the United States. And this right here is where they settled and where they still are right now. So anyway, that is interesting. I'm glad that my results came in. That's cool. Okay, let's talk about last night. I went to sleep at 1 something in the morning. I was still reading 11/22/63, and I don't know if it's the novel that's got me feeling weird, or if it is the disassociating because I had an anxiety issue at 4:30 in the morning. I woke up, I went to the bathroom, and my back was hurting, kind of low on my back and kind of over on my left hip. And I, of course, because my brain goes to the final destination of what anything could possibly be, I decided that because I didn't drink as much water yesterday, or because I drank more sodas yesterday, that something was wrong with my kidneys. And then I started cycling through every... Skeeter's sitting up here so Django couldn't get up, because Skeeter is really mean. If she's sitting somewhere and you try to go by her and he tries to go by her, she will bite him and yell at him. It's really funny. Anyway, she doesn't want to sit in my lap. She just wants to sit on the top of the stairs. So the dogs are situated. My brain starts spiraling, going, okay, well, let's think about all the bad things that you've done, and what have you eaten that was bad, and you drink too many sodas, and you don't drink enough water, and all the things. And probably if you weren't taking the pills that you're taking, you would for sure be dead. Just a lot of crap that my brain tries to spout at me. Well, at 4:30 this morning, I had 0 defenses against it. So I was like, I laid there with my eyes closed thinking, I'll go back to sleep. Well, my brain was like, no, you will not. So I picked up my phone, I picked up my headphones, and I put 11/22/63 back on. And I was like, well, if I'm awake and I can't go to sleep, I might as well listen to the book. That will at least shut my brain up. And it did. I read for about an hour or an hour and a half. And then I was like, okay, I'm falling asleep. So what I decided to do, because this is what happens sometimes. So I have one position that I love to sleep in. But laying in that position last night at 4:30 in the morning was hurting my left hip. So I was like, oh, I don't want to lay like that. But when I read on my phone and I'm listening on my phone and whatever, I stack my pillows up and I lean against my pillows. Well, I was like, I'm just going to sleep like this, because this does not hurt anything. I can go to sleep just like this without a problem. And so that's what I did. I fell asleep at 5:45-ish and slept until 9 o'clock. And at 9 o'clock, I got up. I started listening to 11/22/63 again. And I felt so much better when I woke up the second time. Anyway, I've already had breakfast this morning. I ate my little egg mixture that I made last week. I don't have any more. It's the last one that I had made. So I don't know what I'm going to have for breakfast tomorrow, but breakfast for today is handled. It is 10:30 in the morning. I'm going to be working from 11 to 6 today at the library. It is one of the longest shifts. Technically, the Friday shift is 11 to 7, so it's the longest. But this one, 11 to 6, is the second longest shift that I have, and I need to take something to eat there this afternoon, probably 1 or 2ish when I get hungry. So I think I'm just going to take sandwich stuff like I did last time and eat a sandwich when I take my break. I'm hoping that it's going to be pretty slow in the library today because we just had a holiday on Thursday and then there was a family day for everybody who lives here on Friday. And so now I'm hoping then that Saturday people are still gone out of town or it's a beautiful day, so they're out enjoying the weather and they won't be in the library. Not that I don't like people being in there, but it's also just really nice to be able to read and do things on the bookshelves and not deal with actual people. So I'm hoping that's what happens today. We will have to wait and find out. I'm not even sure who I'm working with today. So that'll also be a thing that I will discover. Right now, I am loving 11/22/63. Stephen King is still doing The Thing, where he makes fantastic characters. And yes, part of this feels like it's dragging, but I think that it is supposed to feel that way because we're literally waiting. This guy can only go back in time and it be 1958, and JFK is not killed until 1963. So no matter what happens, this guy has to wait from 58 to 63 before the assassination. So we are in the waiting period right now. It's really interesting because he's trying to research information about Oswald, but at the same time, not affect anything that's happening or that's going to happen in the future. Because then maybe somebody else just assassinates JFK and then he doesn't know what to expect. So following along and trying to stop things but not too far in advance is like a weird balancing act that he's having to do. And he's already changed a couple of things that he knew were happening in the past. And so we still don't know what those look like in the future. And I'm wondering if he's even going to go back to his time or if he's just going to stay in 1963. It'll be when he finishes. So I don't know. It's really interesting. But because when he goes back, it's only going to be 2 hours later, but he will be, or 2 minutes later, right? It's 2 minutes. But he will be 5 years older than when he left. So anyway, that's it. And I will check back in. I'm over 50% of the way through. I wanted to go through and put my bookmark in the right place. This is definitely not the right place. That's where I was last night. I've read a lot more since then. So maybe I'll go really quickly, find out exactly where I am in the audiobook and put the thing in the right place. Yeah, I am somewhere, I'm somewhere in this section right here. I've already read this part on the left side and I have not yet read this part on the right side. So somewhere in here is where my bookmark is going to go, and I will work on fixing that in a second. And that's it. I'll check back in with you guys later. Maybe I'll get some clips of what we do at work today. Like I said, Saturdays are usually slow anyway, so I'm hoping that this one's going to be extra slow because of the holiday, but we'll see. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in a little while. So I just got off work. I came home and Ron made us chili dogs. We didn't have enough buns for everybody to get a bun per dog. So 2 dogs, 1 bun, lots of chili and cheese. Yummy. Okay, we are removing one of our chairs that was in here and we are replacing it with a futon with a cup holder and a USB. And by we, I mean Ron. Okay, here it is. It has cup holders and 2 different chargers. And it is now our new game room couch. So, nice. I like it. Okay, it is 8 o'clock at night. It is so bright outside. Look at that. But I am almost finished. I have, okay, let me get the book correctly. That's it. I have 50 pages left. I'm going to sit here and finish reading this book. And I wanted to film myself doing it, but I'm listening on my phone and reading this book. And so I can't film myself while I'm listening and reading. Django and Skeeter both say hi. Skeeter is over there. Yes, we had to cover up with a blanket. And yes, I had to put a jacket on. It is cold here tonight. And that's it. I am almost finished. And, this is so good. If you've been wanting to read this book, I'm telling you, pick it up. Let's talk about it. Okay, I'm done. 11/22/63 was so good. So good. There's a couple of things. I always love how Stephen King puts the afterwards and he says, what he was thinking about when he wrote it. I also find it amazing that he said, I originally tried to write this book way back in 1972. I dropped the project because the research it would involve seemed far too daunting for a man who was teaching full time. And there was another reason. Even 9 years after the death, the wound was still too fresh. I'm glad I waited. And he talks about all the research that he did, even including the books that he wrote and the things that he did like that. I love that he said, I want to thank Doris Kearns Goodwin and her husband, former Kennedy aide-de-camp Dick Goodwin, for indulging my questions about worst-case scenarios had Kennedy lived. I love that because she is a historian and she writes historical nonfiction that it's all politically based. I had no idea that her husband was any way politically affiliated, but also that's my maiden name and I feel like I'm related to her somehow. At least I just want to pretend like I am. And he thanks his son for helping him with some time travel things that he hadn't thought about. And then, of course, his wife. I love that he said, Tabitha is, it does not surprise me and should not surprise you, on the side of the conspiracy theorists about the thing. I think that's so funny. And then he just talks about some of the other stuff that went into it. And he wanted to thank Jack Finney, who is America's Great Fantasies and Storytellers, and wanted to dedicate this book to him, but in June of last year. So he wrote this book in January of 2009 to December of 2010. So he wrote it almost 2 years. It took him to write this book. And apparently June of 2010, he said, a lovely little granddaughter arrived in our family, so Zelda gets the nod. Jack, I'm sure you'd understand. And right here at the front, I had to go back and look at the actual dedication, and it says, for Zelda, on this page, for Zelda, hey, honey, welcome to the party. I think that's fantastic. Anyway, this was so good, and I'm so glad that I read it. I can't believe I put it off as long as I did. I think I'm going to give it 4.5 stars. There were moments where it was like a little bit draggy and a little bit like I wanted things to go faster, but even when Stephen King doesn't give you the perfect ending, it still feels like the perfect ending. So anyway, I am now going to be moving to the Storm King, but I'm going to talk about that in tomorrow's vlog. I know that today has been very sporadic and not much filming has happened, but I mostly spent all day at work. And then when I got home, everything was just about this book. I think when I woke up this morning, I had 6 hours at 2 times speed left in this book, and I read it all between work and home. I finished the rest of the book. So my brain has kind of been in 1963 for most of the day, and not a lot else has happened. As you guys saw, Ron did put together our cute little futon that we now have over there, and that's it. Tomorrow is going to be more of being at home day, and I did not do one thing of crochet today, and I'm probably not going to either. It's already 9:30 at night, and I want to get my next book going and go to bed. I do not have a physical copy of the next book. It is not available at our library. Speaking of physical copies, though, I did not read 1 minute of my 25-minute timer. So, Shadows of the Queen, I'm going to need to read 50 minutes tomorrow, which is definitely doable. I'm not worried about that at all. And then I got another book. Somebody on Discord asked if anybody wanted to read their indie published lit RPG, and it's not out yet. It's coming out and in the fall. And so they said, if you want to read it, let me know and I'll send you a copy. And I said yes. So here it is. This is at least, oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. It has an error for some reason. I could see it on my phone, but I can't see it on here. Anyway, it's called King of Dust. And like I said, I'll read it when I get done with some of my other physical reads that I have in line, and we can see what we think about it. But that means that I get to add the next book down on my list. And the next book on my list will be Holes. After Where Sleeping Girls Lie, we'll be doing Holes. Also, my library did have a copy of Where Sleeping Girls Lie. I know it's very shiny. So when we get to this one, I have a copy of it to read. But we do not have The Storm King or The War and Millie McGonagall or The Body Farm. None of those. So anyway, I am going to finish up some stuff here. I made myself a little list. I've got to edit tomorrow's video. I've got to enter the book that I finished. The 11/22/63 has to be added onto my Herkied stuff, which I'll talk about tomorrow. I've got to update my Facebook groups with it and the Battle of the Bands update since I finished it as well. And then I'm going to go upstairs and go to bed and start reading The Storm King, which is the next book. It's pretty short, 391 pages. I mean, it's almost 400 pages, but compared to 849, it's pretty short. So that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.